Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Hot Girl Guide podcast. I have missed you. We missed a week, but we're back. We're back in action. We are better than ever. And I am so excited about today's episode because I turned 29 on Saturday. Finally 29. It's giving Demi Lovato. If you know, you know. And I'm so excited. I love birthdays. And I absolutely had to do this episode today of 29 things that I have learned in my 29 years on this earth, which is just crazy to me. Like 29 years. 29. I don't even feel 29. Honestly, I don't know, do you ever feel what age you are? But I genuinely just feel great, and I'm so excited to be 29, and I'm so excited to be recording this episode. Hopefully today we all learn something new from everything that I have learned in my 29 years. I'm going to tell you each thing and I'm going to give you a brief description. But before we get into that, I know we've been doing like perfume of the pod and book recommendation of the pod. Today's recommendation is a snack recommendation. I have been snacking on these for the last 24 hours. They are an Irish brand, which is very on brand, seeing as I am in fact Irish. Obviously this is not sponsored, but Kyo's Bigger Bite Popcorn, honey and sea salt flavor. Oh my god, they are so good. They're like whole grain, fiber, gluten-free, hand popped corn drizzled with raw natural honey from our very own hives and sprinkled with crunchy Atlantic sea salt. Our farm is a haven for happy Irish honeybees. Oh, so cute. So yeah, this popcorn is so good. So I 10 out of 10 recommend and endorse that product. And now that that's done, we can get into the podcast episode. I'm excited. Okay, so I'm going to start at number 1 and go all the way down to 29. Some of these things that I've learned go without explaining, and others I will delve into a little bit. So, in no particular order, the 29 things that I have learned in 29 years. Number 1, the fact that you have acne does not matter. And I just want to say that again. The fact that you have acne does not matter. What also falls under this category is like the way you look is the least interesting thing about you. I didn't want to have them as like two separate points because, to be honest, it's the same thing. I had acne since I was age 11, 12, like very early in my childhood. And I did everything. I did all the lotions, all the potions, all the medications, absolutely everything. I hated my skin. I hated my face. All I wanted was like a new face, new skin. I would like look in the mirror. I would pick my skin. I would hate my skin. It just caused me so much stress and like self-hatred. Wow, we're going deep really fast. It caused me a lot. Like when I was younger, like I absolutely hated the fact I had full-blown acne. Like it was intense, and it was aggressive, and it was hormonal, and it was something that dictated a big part of my life for a lot of years. And I think unless, like everything in life, unless you've dealt with it personally, you'll never truly understand how it feels to have that thing, whatever it is. But I swear to God, now that I'm 29, I'm like I get a spot, I get 10 spots. It does not matter. Like no one's going to look at me differently if I have spots or if I don't have spots, or if my skin is clear, or if my skin is hydrated, or it looks like glass. Of course, on the days where my skin looks amazing, I'm like, oh my God, if my younger me could see me now, she would lose her shit. But at the end of the day, if anyone is looking at you differently because you have acne, or you have a few spots, or you have imperfections, they are someone that is not worth having in your life. Like anyone in life, a date, a person you're dating, your relationship, a friend, anyone who judges you for something you cannot control is someone you don't want in your life anyway. And I promise you, if you can come to peace with like, this is just the way my skin is now, this is just something that's being projected, nothing I can do is going to help this, no matter what cream I use, no matter what face wash, everything. Sometimes you just have acne, and sometimes it's just hormonal, and it doesn't matter if you go on the pill or you go on Roaccutane or you get Duac or Differin or you use this cleanser or you don't use this or you use this or you don't use this or this product or that product, or if you eat this thing or if you don't eat this thing. Nothing actually will make a difference to that, because growing up so many people told me, oh, it's from sugary drinks, oh, it's from hormones, oh, it's from eating these foods, oh, it's from this, oh, it's from that. And sometimes you just have to go with the flow, because no matter what I did, it was still there. And it wasn't until the less I cared about it, honestly, the less it was an issue in my life. And the less it was an issue in my life, the clearer my skin got. It was crazy. So yes, that is one thing I learned. Your acne does not matter. Number 2, losing contact with people is normal. Now, I'm a Taurus, and us Taurans, if you have someone who is a Taurus in your life, you will know they're very loyal people. And once you're in my ride or die group or circle, or I identify you as a ride or die person in my life, like, I want to keep you there, do that kind of way. And sometimes in life that doesn't always happen. Sometimes the people who you think are your ride or dies eventually aren't, and things can happen and life gets in the way. And sometimes you'll lose contact with people, and that is normal. People are in your life for a lesson, a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I think that's it. People are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. A lot of people are seasonal people. I don't look at people as like transactional, so that's very hard for me sometimes to like be like, oh, this person's only in my life for a season, because if it was up to me, I would keep someone who I love in my life like all my life, and I would keep up contact and everything like that. But life doesn't go that way, and sometimes people will only be in your life for a little chunk. They're not in the whole book, they might just be one chapter, and that is normal. And the tighter you hold on to someone, like, it's not good. Like, you shouldn't be begging someone, whether that's a friend, whether that's a relationship, whatever. You should not have to beg someone to appreciate you or to make an effort in your life. Like, that is not where we want to be in life at all. Which brings me on to number 3. What you do at 18 years old does not dictate your life. And this can go for a lot of things. This can go for what career you choose, if you choose to go to college, what relationship you choose, if you choose to travel the world. What you do at age 18 when you're finishing school doesn't dictate your life. And just because you go to college doesn't mean that you're going to stay on that path. Just because you do not go to college or drop out multiple times doesn't mean that you can never be successful. Every decision you make does not dictate the rest of your life. Of course, your decisions bring you to the person you're meant to be, but if you make a wrong decision or a bad decision or a poor decision at 18, or to be honest, at any age, it doesn't dictate your life. Just because you decide not to do something when you're 18, or if there's any 18-year-olds listening who are feeling extreme pressure to decide what they want to do for the rest of their lives or who they want to be, just know that any decision you make when you're 18 does not dictate where you're going to go or where you're not going to go. Moving on to number 3. You are so young and have so much time. This is a big thing I learned in my 20s, especially I think from like 26 on. The further I got into my 20s, the more I realized, like, oh my God, your 20s is so young. Because I feel like in your early 20s, you feel all this pressure. I have to do this thing. I have to graduate. I have to get a job. I have to move here. I have to settle down. I have to find a husband. I have to find a boyfriend. I have to find a wife. I have to get this job. I have to be earning this much money. I have to move here. I have to buy a house. I have to settle down. There's a lot of I feel like I have to, or I feel like I shoulds, that goes on in your early 20s. And you give yourself this weird timeline. It's a weird timeline. I think back to my younger 20s self when I was like 20, 21, and I was like, oh my God, by the time I'm 28, I want to know the man I'm going to marry, because I want to be engaged before I'm 30, and I want to do this and I want to do that, and I want to be here and I want to be there. And the older I got and the further I got into my 20s, I think the pandemic kind of helped this. I was like, oh my God, we are so much young. We are so much young. No, we are so young and we have so much time, and you have more time than you think you do. I think a lot of people make decisions in life based on the fact that they think they're running out of time, especially if you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s or 60s listening to this, or even 70s. No one knows how long you're going to live. The average life expectancy is only getting older. You should not be making any decisions based on the fact that you're like, oh, I have to make this decision now because by the time I'm this age, I have to do this. I just think that pressure isn't good for anyone. So you are so young and you have so much time to do it all. Number 5, your 20s. Sorry, we're really, these are obviously very in theme, these last 3. Your 20s are for being selfish AF. Selfish as fuck. Your 20s are for being selfish. You should not be basing any of your life decisions on a potential relationship in your 20s. Let me say that again for the girlies in the back. You should not be basing your life decisions on a relationship in or before your 20s. Because trust me, I was the girly who was going to move somewhere, not because I wanted to go somewhere, but because someone was there. That's all I'm going to say about that situation. I was basing my life decisions on a potential relationship. I didn't sit back and be like, wait, do I want to go here? Do I want to like live in this place? What am I going to do? I just wanted to go there because that person was there. And yes, sometimes that's romantic and sometimes that's cute. But when you're in your 20s, you have to be selfish. Don't base your 20s or your life on a potential relationship or something maybe working out with someone. Like, your 20s is your time to be selfish. If you feel like you want to travel the world, travel the world. Your 20s is for being selfish. Whatever you want to do, whatever life you want to live, no matter how many times you want to reinvent yourself, that's what your 20s is for. Because the majority of people don't have a lot of responsibility in their 20s other than themselves. I know that there's exceptions to this rule, but if you are in your 20s and you don't have a lot of responsibilities, only yourself, I am telling you, now is your time to be selfish. Why not? Do the thing. If you want to move across the world to pursue a dream and you have a relationship or a person or a friendship or a parent trying to hold you back and trying to tell you all the reasons you shouldn't go and you should stay and you should this and you should that. No, 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 no. We are being selfish in our 20s, and that is something I learned. Number 6, everyone has different values. I think this is pretty self-explanatory, but everybody's different. Everybody is not the same. Some people value loyalty more than they value freedom. Some people value freedom more than they value security. Some people value security as number 1. Everybody has different values. So people are going to act based on whatever their big core values are. And sometimes people's values don't line up with your values. And that doesn't mean that you're a bad person, or it doesn't mean the other person is a bad person. It just means that you value different things in life. And that's fine. Number 7, people are weird. I wrote this one down because it's true. There is nothing weirder than people sometimes. And sometimes you're not going to understand people. You're not going to understand why they did something or why they didn't do something, or like what they're even thinking or what's going through their mind. And I think, especially in the world of work and business and working for someone else or working for yourself or working with people, people are weird. And sometimes that's the only thing you can say. You can't try to understand everybody because sometimes people are just weird. And you kind of just have to let them be weird in their weirdness and try not to get too affected by it, because sometimes people do questionable things and you will never know the reason why because they're weird. Number 8, paying for luggage is never a bad idea. I'm going to say that again. Paying for extra luggage is never a bad idea. I've been through a phase in my life where I tried to pack lightly, and that is just not my path. That is not on my bingo card for this lifetime. That is not on my journey. And I will never, no matter how much Ryanair charge me, I will never regret paying for extra luggage, because the peace of mind, the lack of stress that comes from having an extra 10 kg, 20 kg, I promise you, you will never regret paying for extra luggage. And I'm going to add an 8 point, like a B. That was A, this is B, this is a 2-point parter. Paying €100 extra so you don't have 3 connecting flights and a 24-hour layover, also a good idea. When you're in your early 20s and you can't afford it, I know it seems like, oh, I'll save €100. I promise you, if you have the money and the funds to be going on a trip anyway, you'll find an extra €100 somewhere. If you're going on the trip anyway, paying that extra €100 to fly with a slightly better airline and have a slightly less complicated journey is worth it. Because when I was younger, I went to Ayia Napa, and I will never forget that journey home for as long as I live. I think we had like 2 or 3 connecting flights. We had layovers. We were broke. We were hungover. There wasn't even money left for food and Burger King. It was not a great time. That €100 I probably spent on something stupid anyway. And it would have been better spent on either extra luggage or a more direct route. Number 9, trying and failing is a lot better than never trying at all. I'm going to say that again. Trying and failing is a lot better than never trying at all. When you think of people in their last hours of life, on their deathbed, they always talk about the things that they didn't do. No one talks about the things they did. No one regrets. Everyone talks about the things they did, but no one regrets what they did. A lot of times people regret the things they didn't do or they didn't try. So trying and failing is a lot better than never trying at all. So that's just giving all of you permission to try the thing. Whatever it is you want to do, try it, because it's better to have tried and failed than to have never tried at all. Number 10, failure isn't real. And then I have in parentheses, kinda. I think as I've reached my 29th year on this earth, I have realized that failure is very subjective. So if I do something and it doesn't work out the way I thought it would, some people might look at that and think of it as failure. But I think when you're in your own life and you're looking at your own life under your own perspective, it's a lot easier to be like, okay, that didn't work, but I see the reasons that didn't work, or this is what I learned from it, or like it rejected me, but it redirected me in a different area. So I really do think failure is kind of a lie. Like, do you ever really fail? Because if you learn something in the process and then apply what you learned to the next thing and then you succeed, that failure is also tied to your success. So I do think that failure isn't real, because can you ever truly fail? The only reason you can truly fail is if you fail to learn from what went wrong. Because when you fail at something, you always learn. You either learn that you didn't like it, you learn what you did wrong, you learn what you'll do differently the next time you try it. And most people who succeeded at anything failed along the way. So I think failure isn't real. Number 11, astrology is more than your star sign. This is one of the best things I've learned in my life, honestly, because when I learned that you have a whole birth chart that is basically like a window into your soul, it gave me so much permission to be myself at a time where I did not know who I was and what I was doing or where I was going. And I'm actually going to correct myself. I knew who I was and I knew what I wanted to do. I just wasn't comfortable in that and I thought it was wrong. And then when I got my birth chart read for the first time, I was like, oh my God, that's me. That's me. And I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing. And that's okay. And this is my path. It was cool, honestly. So learning that there's a lot more than just your star sign is a big thing. And I'm grateful for that. Number 12, you will never regret trying. This kind of is similar to number 9, where it's like trying and failing is a lot better than never trying at all. But I think I related number 12, you'll never regret trying, more to kind of, you know, in a friendship or in a relationship, when you're trying to make something work, you're never going to regret it. And sometimes you are flogging a dead horse, and sometimes you do hold on to something a little longer than you should have, but you're not going to regret trying to make it work. You're not going to regret it, even if it bites you in the ass. And even if 5 years later you look back at yourself and you're like, you dumb bitch, why were you trying so hard for, why were you trying so hard for nothing? For someone who didn't care about you. But at the time, it's what you wanted to do and you honoured that. Number 13. Sending paragraphs to men is stupid. This is a non-binary statement. Sending a paragraph to anyone you are romantically involved with or were romantically involved with. And I'm not talking about a positive paragraph. I'm not talking about a paragraph where you tell them how much they mean to you and how much you love them and it's all cute and lovey-dovey. We all know the paragraphs that I'm talking about. The paragraphs where you're angry and upset and you're trying to explain yourself and you're trying to make them see life from your point of view. And they're not seeing it, and they'll never see it with a paragraph. They will honestly look at that paragraph and just, because it's through a phone, it's through a text, it might even be through an email if they've blocked you. Do you know what I mean? Sending someone paragraphs upon paragraphs, the amount of paragraphs I sent when I was younger, there was no need. I could have wrote a whole book, and honestly that would have benefited me more, because you're better off talking to the person in person and trying to explain. I remember, and I think a lot of people will relate to this, in your teens or in your early 20s, when you were fighting with someone that you were in a relationship or whatever, or they hurt you or they did something wrong, and just the energy that you put in to typing those paragraphs and trying to make them see why you're so hurt and trying to make them understand. They're never going to understand. And the only way they will understand is if you sit down with them in person and communicate instead of sending a paragraph. So number 14 is a big kind of 180 from that. Cotton underwear. That's all I'm going to say. Cotton underwear. Cotton. Not polyester. Cotton underwear. Game changer. Number 15. Hydration is key. That is when it comes to your skin, when it comes to your body. When you are hydrated, you are happier. When you're drinking water, when you're hydrating your body, when you're hydrating your face, when you're hydrating your hair, hydration is key. 16. Everyone doesn't need to understand you or why you're doing something or what you're doing. As long as you understand, that's amazing. You don't have to over-explain yourself to people, over-explain why you're doing something, over-explain why you're not doing something. Everyone doesn't need to understand you. If you have an idea, go, run with it. You don't need to waste your energy trying to make people understand. Number 17, you can never take enough photos or videos. I swear to God, I love photos. I was the girly at 13 years old in the teenage discos with a digital camera, taking a million photos and uploading them on Bebo or Facebook or wherever the hell I was uploading them. I was that girl. And I still look back at my early 20s when I was traveling a lot, when I was in Thailand and I was in Australia. I did not take enough photos and videos. And I look back and I'm like, where's this footage that I have now? Obviously, I realize now we're living in the age of videos. We're all videographers. We're all doing beautiful reels and taking beautiful videos of our beautiful lives and everything. But I want more. I want more. I swear to God, I want to take so many photos and videos. You can never have enough. It's always so amazing having photo and video memories. So I am a firm believer that you can never have enough. Pay an extra €10 a month for storage. It's worth it. Do you know what I mean? Number 18. Your hair hates bleach. That doesn't mean you shouldn't use it though. That's like a personal one to me. Well, all of these are personal to me, but you know what I mean. My hair does not like bleach. I have naturally dark hair. And my hair is not meant to be bleached. Okay? And at 29, I can hand on my heart say, if you ever see me with blonde hair again, just know it's a wig. Because my hair is seeing no more bleach in this lifetime until, if the moment happens where my hair goes like white grey, then I will live my white blonde fantasy. But until then, I have learned my hair doesn't like bleach. I don't think most people's hair likes bleach, but my hair especially is not besties with bleach. Number 19, following on from that, life is short, get a pink bob. I got the cutest pink bob when I was living in Australia, and this was an amazing decision by me. Having pink hair, I think when I was younger I was like, oh my God, I'd love to have pink hair. I'm also going to make a second point in this, is like, dye your hair, play around with your hair. If you have one hair color, like, life is too short to have one hair color all your life. Like, experiment, dye your hair blonde, dye your hair red. If you're a blonde, go dark for a while. If you're dark, go blonde for a while. I don't care what you do, play around with your look, keep it interesting. Do you know? Like, I think life is so short. Like, why not have a pink bob or get extensions or have brown hair? Like, hair grows back. You can dye your hair brown and you can go back blonde. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. It's fine. Dye your hair. Number 20. You'll never, ever, 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 ever regret spending money on traveling. I don't need to say too much about this because I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You will never regret spending money, seeing the world, expanding your knowledge, becoming more cultured, seeing how different people in different places of the world live, what they do, escaping the rat race, going somewhere where the pace is a lot slower, going somewhere where the pace is a lot quicker, seeing how people live in Australia, seeing how people live in Thailand, seeing how people live in South America. Everyone and every culture is so different, and like, why not experience that? You'll never regret it. You will never regret spending money traveling the world. I promise you. Number 21, you do not need a 42-step skincare routine. Honestly, I'm speaking to myself last year. Like, up until very, very recently, I had a really excessive skincare routine. It was excessive. I didn't need to be doing all that. I'm an extra girly. I love being extra. But I did not need to be doing that much with my skin. My skin is sensitive. My skin's barrier doesn't like all that messing around, all that faffing about, all those acids and actives and so many products and so many different brands and so many different ingredients. In the last few months, I have pared back my skincare routine to maybe 5 or 6 steps. My skin has never looked better. You do not need a 42-step skincare routine. Do you need to be bougie and have skincare Sundays? Of course. Do you want to do face masks and put on your creams and feel good? Of course. But you don't need 42 steps or 27 or over 10, to be honest. You don't. You don't need it. Your skin will thank you. I promise. I actually promise. That's a promise. Number 22, you do need to moisturize your body. Girlies, especially my white girlies, moisturize your skin. Your body is going to feel so amazing. Please moisturize after you shower. Don't be dry and crusty and musty and dusty, because white skin ages the worst. When I trained to be a makeup artist, I learned that as a Caucasian girly, my skin's the driest. My skin needs the most moisture. My skin ages the fastest, but yet most Caucasian people, we're not moisturizing our bodies head to toe. What are we doing? Now, of course, there are exceptions to the rule, and thankfully I am an exception. I do moisturize my body head to toe. It's a ritual. I dry body brush. I moisturize my skin. I take care of my skin. There is no point having a 27-step skincare routine on your face if your body is going to be dry and crusty and your skin is going to be dry and like crying out for moisture. So please moisturize your body, okay? It is something I learned. Now, I was quite young when I learned it, but I still learned it. And I never, if I had to get out of the shower and just put on my clothes now, I would feel like a dry piece of paper. And nobody wants to feel like that. Number 23, nobody should care that much about what you do or don't do. No one should be more invested in your life than theirs. Or you shouldn't feel that. Like, you shouldn't feel like people like really care about what you decide to do. Like, if you decide to cut your hair, if you decide to travel the world, if you decide to drop out of college, of course people who care about you are going to care about your decisions. But there's a difference between like people who you love caring about your decisions and feeling judged, or feeling like people are judging you for your decisions, or feeling like you can't do something because you're afraid of what people think. If you're basing your life on the hypothetical thoughts of hypothetical people, girlies who bought my confidence guide, Be Your Own Biggest Fan, have heard me say that before. Do not base your life on the hypothetical thoughts of hypothetical people, because, fun fact, you never know what people are thinking anyway. You think you know, you don't know. Have you heard your own intrusive thoughts? Now think about everyone else's intrusive thoughts. You never know what anyone's thinking. So, you know, no one cares that much about what you're doing. Number 24, everyone's winging it. No one has it all figured out. Everyone is winging it. People in their 20s, people in their teens, people in their 50s, people in their 80s. Everyone's just winging it. No one has it all figured out. I don't think you're like, what does having it all figured out look like? Because in my opinion, that's kind of boring to me. Like, what? You just reach this point in life where you know where you're doing, you know what you're doing, you know where you're going, and that's it. There's no more challenge. No, everyone's winging it. Number 25. This is a controversial one, and some girlies will disagree with me. But if he wanted to, he would. If she wanted to, she would. If they wanted to, they would. A lot of times in life, we make way too many excuses for people who are a lot smarter than we give them credit for. People are not dumb. People are not stupid. People know what they're doing. And if they wanted to do something, they would. Because we can over-excuse people. We can over-excuse relationships, situationships, friendships. We can say, oh, but they're busy. Oh, but they're going through a lot. Oh, but they're this. And of course, sometimes it's great to give people empathy. But if you find you're giving more people empathy, then empathy is being awarded to you. Do people make the same excuses for you that you make for them? I'm just going to ask you that again. Do people make the same excuses for you that you make for them? If they wanted to, they would. Raise your worth. Walk away. If they wanted to, you'd know about it. This especially pertains to relationships, because a lot of times we excuse a lot of people for bullshit, shitty behavior. Because we say they're going through it, they just moved to a new country, they must be so stressed right now, they're looking for a job, they didn't mean it, they didn't mean to forget my birthday, they didn't mean to not do this, they didn't mean to say that, they didn't mean it. Have you said 1,000,001 things you don't mean? Like, think about how you move through the world. Think about how intentional you are with how you treat people and your actions. Now, take a step back and really think about whatever situation you're excusing someone for the 1,000,000th time for. If they wanted to, they would. Okay? A firm believer in that. If they wanted to, they would. It's a hard truth. But sometimes you have to put yourself first, and sometimes you have to put yourself on the pedestal that you put everyone else on. Oh, that was a good one. Sometimes you have to put yourself on the pedestal that you have been putting everyone else on. Sometimes you have to make excuses for yourself. Be like, look, maybe they are going through something right now, but that doesn't excuse this behavior. So I'm going to remove myself from this situation. And if they really want to apologize, or if they really want to make it up to me, they will. If they wanted to, they would. Anyway, number 26, trust your gut. Especially if you are a woman, because us women have this crazy thing called a woman's intuition. We have the most insane gut feelings. We're all psychic. I actually am a firm believer that women are all psychic, but it's pushed like really, really, really down because society doesn't value intuition as much as like yes, no science. So we learn to like reject our intuitive thoughts or our gut. We learn to reject our gut feelings a lot of the time. But 9 times out of 10, if you have a gut feeling about a situation or a person or someone cheating on you, you're right. And you know you are. I know you are. Do you know what I mean? Like most people, I'm going to relate this to something very funny, and this just doesn't relate to relationships. Like, trust your gut with everything. Like, really think about a situation, and if you have a bad gut feeling that you can't explain, just trust it. Just trust your intuition a bit more. You know, when people like check their partner's phone, now I'm not excusing anyone for checking their partner's phone, because I do think it is a massive invasion of privacy, and you know, but most people who check find something. Why? Gut feelings, intuition. You're welcome. Number 27, you can lie in your CV and in a job interview for that matter. I'm not saying lie like a big lie, but I'm saying if there's a little lie that you have to tell so that you get the job, do it. Life is too short. Get the job, make the money. If you die in the morning, they're going to replace you anyway. So you might as well lie. When I was in my early 20s, I really needed a job. So I had an interview at a service station. Now, this job was purely for me to earn money to fund my next thing. My goal wasn't to work in a service station and become manager and own a service station one day. That is an amazing goal. I'm not saying that's a bad goal. I'm just saying that's not what I wanted. In the interview, did I pretend that my life purpose was working my way up in this company, becoming manager, hopefully owning my own one day? Of course I did. Why? Because that's what they want to hear. Sometimes you have to tell people what they want to hear, and you can lie in your CV. In my CV, it says that I have done a lot of things that I have not done. There are gaps in my CV that I just filled in. I just extended some dates. Why? Because it's not that deep. Of course, if you're applying for a job where you have to speak French, you can't lie and say you speak French. That's kind of obvious. But with a lot of other things, you can lie and you can embellish things. And allegedly, that is, because, you know, I don't want to get in trouble for that, even though no one that important listens to my podcast, let's be honest. Number 28, nobody needs to see your before and after pictures, or you are not your before picture. There was a moment in time in my life where I got into fitness Instagram, like I think a lot of us did, and I was, along with a lot of other people, conditioned to think that posting a picture of your body at a before stage and posting a picture of your body at an after stage was like a good, healthy, normal thing to do. No one needs to see that. If you want to take a picture of yourself in the mirror and then taking a picture and a few months later, you can do that. But we do not need that on the internet. Do you know why? Because someone who looks like your before picture, who didn't see anything wrong with themselves, is going to look at it and be like, wait, I look like the before. And you're just going to give people insecurities. And of course, you shouldn't be responsible for what other people think and how other people perceive stuff they see on the internet. But like, I think 2023 is the year we just don't need that anymore. I don't think it's beneficial to anyone. And it's, you know, it's an ego thing. And you can have that on your phone and you can send it to your best friend. I don't know. It's something I learned. Like, I have done it before. I've done it in the past, but no one needs to see that, you know, because you're so much more than what you look like. How you look is the least interesting thing about you. So we don't need before and after pictures. Number 29, and this is one of the best things I've learned in my 29 years. 30 is so young and life is literally only beginning. As a woman, we are taught to fear our 30s. We are taught that our 30s is this benchmark, and if we don't do certain things, or if we don't meet some certain people, or if we don't get certain jobs, or if we don't do everything we want to do before we're 30, we're a failure and life is over. And men aren't taught this in the same way, okay? This isn't a whole men versus women thing, but men aren't taught how bad being 30 is as much as women are. So one thing I've learned is that 30 isn't scary. I'm so excited for my 30th birthday next year. I swear to God, I'm doing like a brand trip for my birthday with like all my closest people in my life, whoever they are at that period in time. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one is guaranteed on that trip. If I don't talk to you between now and my 30th birthday, besties, you're not coming. Do you know what I mean? But I am going to throw the biggest 30th birthday. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be 30. I'm so excited for that whole new era. And I've just realized that, like, you're only as old as you feel. And being old is just a generational, societal, weird concept anyway. It's actually just a glass ceiling. And I don't think we need any glass ceilings in our life. So yeah, 30 is so young. And life is literally only beginning. Like, you can reinvent yourself at any time. You can be 30, you can be 60, you can be 92, you can be 104 and decide, you know what? I'm going to reinvent myself, because that's life. I loved recording this episode. This is probably one of the longest episodes I have had in a while, but I'm so excited. The thoughts of recording this, honestly, I sat down so many times to write out the 29 things. And I couldn't think, and I was having like mental block, and I was so tired. And then I was like, I have to record the episode, I have to do everything. But now that it's done, I'm like, oh my God, that was so amazing. I'm so happy that I recorded this episode, and I really hope that you learned something, or that you listened to something that I learned and it kind of made you be like, ooh, that's an interesting perspective. And maybe you're just going to think about it a bit more. Okay. For everyone who loves the podcast, I did this offer on my social media at the weekend because it was my birthday, but I wanted to extend the offer to all the girlies who listen to the podcast. As you may or may not know, I do birth chart readings, and usually on my website, RebeccaShortt.com, it'll be linked in the show notes. I do birth chart readings for €55.55, so it's like 5555. But for my birthday weekend, I reduced the price to €29.29, so €29.29, because I turned 29, and the code is B Day, like birthday, but B, so like capital B Day. So if anyone wants a birth chart reading and you don't follow me on Instagram and you didn't know about the deal, then you can go onto my website and do that. You can also go onto my website. I'm promoting myself. Do you know what? I'm 29 now. We have to fund this 30th birthday somehow. Do you know what I mean? I also have a whole ebook and audiobook called Be Your Own Biggest Fan, and it's all about confidence. I also have a manifesting ebook called Mastering Manifesting. And if you want to support me in any other way, you can share this podcast with a friend. You can share it on social media. It's free. Sharing stuff on the internet is free and benefits me. So thank you. Goodbye.